It is without doubt that matter, space, energy, time, and created eternity are most complicated parameters, and we only see and understand superficial aspects without understanding their deeper operations. Look once more through the window, my beautiful friend suggested, again in good humor. Do you recognize the person closest to your childhood body? Another tenderly loved was next to the fearful young boy. More properly, the body of tenderly loved in that era was immobile but in a singing pose. She was very beautiful, but not as much as the celestial tenderly loved that was with me at the window. Perhaps you have two bodies, or one is real and the other is unreal. My body, which is close to you, is the same one inside the living room. However, already glorified, it exists a second after the space time in which we are. Let me explain. Before I went to visit you, I took my young body from this same living room 1 second after finishing my interview with you. I glorified my body with the possession of my glorified soul. I endowed it with greater beauty to impress you more, but not so much as to make you die of joy. As you can see, the fifth dimension was my ally, thanks to the complete dominion we blessed exercise over it. Why did you take your body 1 second after our interview? Don't attribute to the fourth dimension or time an excessive and inviolable value which does not exist in reality. Remember that time and space are united, and that corporeal beings are composed of the ordered and chronological aggregate of all their acts of existence. These acts are accomplished and stored in their respective space times, which are instantaneous and chronological. Of course, the number of spacetimes for each act of existence with its respective spacetime is objectively separable in heaven. It is like the unit existing in the events of the life process. So you can better understand this, she continued. You should consider four ideas. 1. The fifth dimension forever guards the total organism, both earthly and heavenly, of all the blessed. Second, glorification is fundamentally received by the soul, which is the substantial form of the complete human body. The soul, in turn, glorifies the particular space-times of the organism. Which one? Whichever one is more convenient in a given moment to enjoy some fruitful experience of accidental glory. Third, the intellectual acuteness of blessed bodies consists in their full dominion over the fifth dimension or created eternity. It is the analogous spiritualization of the corporeal matter, which is independent of the chronological order of the normal space-times of the earth, space-times which give reality to the acts of existence. Consider that we glorified are not pure spirits. You, being in modified time, are enjoying in anticipation a little of the extraordinary vision of the blessed. Fourth, the complete organism of a blessed is physically separable in each of the space-times or infinitesimal moments of terrestrial and celestial life. It is divisible in every it is divisible in every act of existence, and it can participate in personal experiences in the glory in very different temporal waves, waves different from those composing the original space-times. I will make you a comparison. Suppose you wrote a sentence on a paper. This note was really made forever, but you can often change its position. Analogously, a completed act of your existence, along with its inseparable space time, can be put in many other places and in different time waves. An existential act with its original matter, space, and time constitutes an object and independent reality, although it always forms part of the entire human being. Therefore, she concluded, with divine consent, I arranged for my young body to pass from original space time, which I lived in this living room on October 21st, 1923, to the modified time in which I am visiting you. We glorified exercise complete control over our entire organism and over the complex of matter, energy, space, time, and created eternity. It is complicated. Try again. Listen. What happens at every instant of human life can be objectively separated in heaven because it became a separate living act in and of itself. It is like a link in the large chain of existence. It is clear that you, living with your consciousness bound to the present moment, are unable to physically separate your space times of life events. The actual instant, she reiterated, is the only opportunity to complete earthly acts of existence, but such acts, once completed, are eternal unities and, in a certain sense, independent. It is possible to separate them in heaven so as to better enjoy accidental glory. Doesn't an original act of existence lived in this world conflict with the use of the same space time in heaven in accidental glory? No, on the contrary, the primitive event is enhanced by its repetition in heaven, just as the cymbal of an orchestra reinforces the intensity of the other instruments instead of obscuring them. So also are earthly space times enhanced when enjoyed by us in the temporal waves of the blessedness. Why didn't you remove your corporal face from this house for our interview in modified time? Because you wouldn't have found me in the living room next to the piano. The human body does not bilocate as the soul. It is absurd that the same act of existence occupy two equal and coinciding spacetimes. Spacetimes, along with their respective acts of existence, can be separated in eternal, objective reality, but they are never confused. Later, I'll demonstrate the way human spacetimes are intercommunicated in heaven. But I am seeing two bodies. It's because they correspond to different terrestrial acts of my existence. We are talking about two different spacetimes, which are separated by an interval of one earthly second. Moreover, don't forget that my body in the living room and the one with you in front of the window are from different temporal waves. I'll give you a demonstration, she emphasized, to convince you that my only spiritual soul animates both the bodies you observe. I'll make my body, the one next to your childhood body by the piano, turn to us. Fascinating, tenderly love's body, which did not exhibit glorification in that moment, but seemed to be singing in the living room, stopped being a beautiful wax figure, and turned her face toward the piano and tenderly smiled at me. The clear proof convinced me she had complete control over both bodies, over her corporeal aspect, and over the space times of her entire organism. And the tragic bonding of the traveler with the actual instant of terrestrial time did not exist. How did you how do you like this experience? Asked my beautiful, tenderly loved with a smile. It is marvelous, but not as marvelous as you. The love I professed to you has intensified to mysteriously capture my childhood emotions. Actually, my excessive sensibility and my innocent self criticism as a child have just been re experienced and cry out with joy and sadness. She sings a wonderful melody that, for the first time in my life, inspires me. It is something very pleasant and beautiful that I am unable to define and which I dare not accept. It must be love, even though I hardly know the meaning of this word.